everybody. Welcome back. Today we're joined by Silvere, who is a lecturer here at IFA Paris.
Welcome everyone, and thank you, Vanessa, for having me today. Very glad to have the opportunity to do this first coaching with IFA and IFA students and whoever wants to join this free session of coaching. So today we are going to talk about how to get your dream job, because looking for a job is something that is not easy, I understand, and it's possible to get your job, the job that you want, when you know what you want and when you organize yourself to get what you want. So how to get your dream job. So I will introduce myself first. So my name is Silvere Kembakou. I'm a teacher and consultant in fashion and luxury marketing and management since 2009. Before that, I was a merchandiser. So merchandiser means someone who's in charge of planning and managing products. At the bottom, you can see where you can find me. So on LinkedIn with my name, Silvere Kembakou, and on Instagram, Silvere Style. And this is about me. So I've been working with IFA since 2013. So I had plenty of students, but before becoming a teacher, I wanted to work in fashion. I worked in fashion, so I studied fashion. And moving to Westminster was for my final year. I studied here in France. Before moving to Westminster, finishing my studies, my dream job was to work for Burberry Menswear in London. I had two dream jobs, or two main targets. The first one was Burberry, and the second one was for Ralph Lauren, also in menswear. And I managed to do it. So how did it happen? First, before leaving Paris to go to London, that was the target that I had in mind, and it was really clear in my mind what I wanted to do. So working for Burberry Menswear, there is a reason behind, and I think this is what you also need to define when it comes to thinking of your dream job. What is the reason that drives you to get that dream job? I didn't work for Burberry straight after my studies. It happened after a first experience. All that to tell you that if you have something in mind, you should keep that vision clear for you, and you should work to make your vision a reality. Things may not happen the way that you want. When I say the way that you want, it means when you think they should happen. But if you have that vision, and if it's something that is clear for you and that you really want, at some point it will happen. So it can be called law of attraction, but I really believe that if you set up your mind toward a goal or something, it will happen. It's about you defining what you want and working towards that direction. And once again, you have to be ready to get that opportunity. So when the opportunity to work for Burberry arose for me, it was a job application that I sent first. I didn't know it was for Burberry. The ad was just saying it was for a luxury menswear brand, so I applied. I had replied from a lady who was in charge saying that she apologized, but the lady in charge, it was for Burberry, and the lady in charge was on holiday, so she would contact me when she would be back. I had a phone call from another lady. She was working by herself. She was a recruiter, and she told me that she had this opportunity for Burberry if I would be interested in. And I said I already applied, and I had the reply that obviously the lady in charge is on holiday. She knows someone else within the company, and she can pass my CV through, which is what she did. 2 days after, I had confirmation for the interview, and I went through the interview, and a few days after, I have confirmation for the job. Um, just to tell you how it went, because you need to understand how I was feeling, and it's probably something that may happen to you if at some point you have what you really want, your dream, about to become reality. Um, when I knew it was for Burberry, I was so excited, and I was at the same time, I was a little bit scared. So in my mind, it was like I would do whatever it takes to get that job. I worked really hard on preparing my job interview for Burberry. For this type of position at the time, you had to go through some tests with numbers. So they test you how good you are in terms of calculation. It's just you, your brain, and a pen and a paper. So they ask you the question. You have to do all those calculations just by yourself. Then there was an Excel test, free test. My level of Excel was good at the time. But I just wanted to be sure that I would cover everything about a book just before my interview, and just went through the book and tried to do some exercises. And I just wanted to make sure that I would be as good as possible, so that I would not miss on that opportunity. So I'm saying this to you because you need to understand that if you really want something, you have to do really what it takes to get it. So you have to lose yourself in whatever that you are motivated to do. And this is how you can seize your opportunities. Prepare yourself. So how do you prepare yourself? Let's go through it. You need to define what you want. So this is the first basic thing. It's basic, but so many people don't do it. You may have an idea in your mind of, yeah, maybe I would like to do this, maybe I would like to do that. But if it's not clear in your mind, it's not going to work. And to help you with this, I've prepared you this document where you can see the different fashion sectors where you could work in. From my experience teaching with students, I know that quite often students, they don't really know in which area they want to work in. So I prepared this chart to give you a kind of idea. So if we start with design and production, so this is basically for the people who want to work in fashion design. So it can be about pattern making, it can be about designing. It can be about being responsible for the production of the collection. So these are the type of jobs that he could go for when working in that type of sector. Buying is mainly about developing the collection. So you would work as a buyer, ensuring that you build a collection that reflects what the brand is about, and dealing with sourcing. So sourcing is about looking for the right type of products or materials or suppliers for the products that you are responsible for. You will negotiate with your suppliers, try to get the best prices, and build your collection to have something that should sell in your stores. You will work along with the merchandising team. So the merchandising team and the buying team, they work really close together as a team. And generally, they work on the same type of product. So it could be all department like menswear, women's wear, kidswear, etc., or accessories. Or sometimes, if the company is really big, they're going to work on specific products like dresses, outerwear, tailoring, etc. The role of the merchandisers is more about planning. So they're more going to be in charge of planning the budget. So how much money is going to be spent to build the collection, to buy the products. They will plan the quantities that needs to be bought by the buyers, and they will plan the sales. So they will define the sales target for different products that they're in charge of. So their role is more about managing the money. The buyers, their role is more about developing the products, but they really work together because the job of the merchandiser is support what the buyer does, and what the buyer does should reflect what the merchandisers have come up in terms of analysis, because merchandisers, they're also in charge of analyzing how the products perform. You have the distribution sector. So with the distribution, is basically you working in retail. Retail could be working in a store as a store manager, as a deputy manager, but also visual merchandiser. You are responsible for setting up the store in terms of design, layout, and the windows. Distribution means also working wholesale, so you could be a sales manager. You would sell the collection to other retailers like concept stores, department stores, or you could work in e-commerce for the company. And if the company has an e-commerce operation, but nowadays most of the brand they do, you will be part of the team, maybe working as a merchandiser for e-commerce, so managing how the products sell on that platform. You have marketing and PR. With marketing and PR in fashion, understand that it's more about promotion. Something I haven't mentioned is that if some of you are interested to work in a kind of marketing position in fashion, the buying and the merchandising positions include loads of marketing. It doesn't say in the name, but you have loads of marketing involved because the collections that you are going to develop, they should reflect what the brand is about, but should also target the right customers. You need to understand what your competitors are doing. So there's a lot of marketing involved in reality in those positions. For most brands, when they say marketing, marketing relates to promotion. So many brands are going to say marketing / PR. So it's anything that's going to help the brand to promote. It's anything that is going to help the brand to be promoted. It can be event planning. It can be preparing the campaign, so the photo shooting, working with the press, any social networks as well, like community manager as an example. So anything that can help the brand to be promoted, and also advertising, depending on how much money the company has available when it comes to advertising. Although nowadays you can do advertising online, and it's pretty much it's very cheaper than what it used to be when you could only do your advertising on TV or in magazines. Events management, if some people are interested in working in events like preparing fashion shows or organizing events to promote a brand, this is another area where you could work. And you have press for people who like to write. You could be editors. So understand that working in press is not that easy nowadays. Many companies, they've restricted their budget. So if you work at first, maybe it's going to be based on when they publish your articles, and you'll be paid if they publish what you've done. And there's a lot of work done online as well. So understanding this, it helps you to see where you could work. You have on this website, it's called Fashion Retail Personnel. It's one of the agencies I worked with when I was in London. So, but on their website is pretty well done because you have all those different jobs. So it's by sector. So it's a bit different than what I've just shown you, but you can find most of the positions explained here. So they put it generally by level, starting from the lower level and going to the director position. So if I click on the buying director here in buying as an example, it's going to explain you exactly what those people do. And after, if you want to apply, you can apply. Really about having some descriptions of the jobs here, so you get a better idea about what those jobs require. And once again, it helps you to know in which direction you want to go. Next is your why. You should define why that job is your dream job. Like I said to you, for me, working at Burberry is because I really liked what the brand was doing in terms of the product. So the reason could be anything, but something that's really drives you to get that position, to get that job. So It could be something which is about satisfaction, so things that you could read on that you can read on the image here. It can be about improving yourself. It can be about that a career that you want to follow. Something that can be of an inspiration. Something that makes you happy. But something that really drives you to get that position, and to be happy to work for within that role. Really need to go for something that drives you for the good reason, something about the job itself, so something that you like about the job, something that motivates you to be happy with when you work for that brand or for that position. So, what you will need to do is to learn about your dream job. The better you know that dream job, and the better you will prepare yourself to have it. Because once again, you need to understand what is required to get that job. So, is there any specific degree or training that you need to have? That's part of preparing yourself for the position. You need to understand what are the skills that you need, that you should have for the position. Because once again, this is what you will have to demonstrate when it comes to applying for the position, and what is the expected level of experience. If your dream job is to become a creative director for a company, you may need some experience before. If you haven't worked as a creative director, it's unlikely that your first position after school, as an example, after you graduate, will allow you to get such a position. So you will probably need a few years of experience first to be able to get that position. But once again, if this is your dream job, you just work in the direction of getting that job at some point, and you will get it if you're motivated and you do what it takes. You will get there, but you have to be realistic. So it's the same. If someone wants to become to be a director of buying, you're not going to become a director of buying straight after your studies. You will need many years of experience, because the job requires you to be able to have many different skills, managing people, managing strategies for the brand, etc., etc. So it does take time to learn about all these things. Which brand? So does your dream job require to work for a specific brand, or is the brand part of the dream job that you want to have? Like I said to you, for me, the dream job was to work for Burberry. And so I had a brand in mind. By the way, I talked to you about Ralph Lauren. Ralph Lauren was the second position that I was interested in the case I would not have Burberry. I had the interview also for Ralph Lauren a few days before the interview for Burberry. So it's very possible to make those things happen. Burberry, they were quicker to give me an answer than Ralph Lauren, but I was more motivated to work for Burberry anyway. So you need to define. You should list the brands that you are interested in. Is it just one brand or many other brands that you are interested to work for? You should learn as much as possible about these brands, because once again, when you get to the job interview, you're likely to have those questions about the brands. What do you know about the brands? What do you know about our products? What do you know about our customers? What do you know about our competitors? So, if and it should not be some work seriously, because if you like the brand, it's something that you should do naturally. You should analyze these brands, so understand their strengths, their weaknesses, opportunities, threats, and competition. So we can call it a SWOT. Because once again, the more you understand the brand, the better you're going to sound like when you have your job interview. If your recruiters feels like you really know what the brand is about, you understand what the products are, what the brand is trying to do in terms of strategies, who the competitors are, etc. This is what they want. They want someone who has a true interest for the brand, for what the company does, and it will help you to get your job, to get your dream job. I'm just checking if there is something in the conversation. somebody needs to give you the directional position for the first time. When you say directorial position, you mean in terms of giving you the opportunity to become a director? Is it what you mean, Martha? Okay, you should not wait for people to give you the opportunity. You should create your own opportunity. I understand that, you know, if you want to be the director of marketing at Burberry or Chanel or whatever the brand, there's probably just one position, okay? But for this company, but it doesn't mean that you don't have any other director positions available on the market. If at some point you still want to work for Chanel or whatever the brand you have in mind, you should keep that in mind and, you know, constantly check that if there is an opportunity. Like I said to you, Burberry wasn't my first experience after I finished my, after I graduated. I started to work for a first company. Burberry came after. So even when I started to work for that first company, in my mind, I was still like, at some point, I want to work for Burberry. I can hear you. You can or you can't. If you can, it's fine. If you can't, there is a problem. But yeah, it's just to say that don't necessarily wait for that position to be available. Life sometimes is funny. What you expect sometimes you hear, what you expect to think is here, but maybe life will take you all around like this before getting you to this point. So during all this time, you cannot just stay there and just wait and say, okay, I'm just going to wait for a position to be available. Get experience and, you know, learn as much as you can, get more experience, and at some point, what you have in mind will come true if, you know, it's a very clear vision that you have, and this is something I'm going to talk about hereafter. So it's about preparing yourself. Okay, it's like, I like the comparison with athletes. Athletes don't wait for the competition and the day before they say, okay, now I need to train because tomorrow is the competition. They train over the whole year, sometimes for just one race, one competition. If we talk about the Olympics, you know, it's every 4 years. So those athletes who want to become Olympic champions, they have to keep that drive to themselves, saying, you know, next time there is the competition, I'll be ready. So for you, it's the same, and can come back to what I was saying just before. Get yourself prepared for whatever that position is likely to be available, especially for that specific brand that you may have in mind. Once again, my example, Burberry, I wasn't thinking after my first, when I started my first job, that, you know, is something that I would never have. I was like, I'm just going to learn as much as possible, and, you know, we see how it goes. And at some point, the opportunity came, and when that opportunity came, I said, yeah, I have to ensure that from what I already know, I perfect that. So there is no reasons for me to not get the job. The first thing you should do is to visualize. There's an author that I really advise you to read if you don't know that. It's Napoleon Hill, saying that whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. So basically, you could do whatever you want, and this is something I've been thinking. I've been thinking since I was a teenager. Probably is whatever I would try to do. If I would put my mind into that thing, I would manage to do it. So this is the way that you should think. Is it's possible for you to get whatever you want, but you have to conceive it and you have to believe it. There's something to do about faith. If you think that you're gonna have what you want, you will get it. And I have so many examples. I'll give you some other examples of some of my friends who also get the jobs that they wanted. some other stories about people, being able to have other things that they just really wanted. But it's very about visualizing. So when you visualize what you want, you provide a clear picture to your mind. Um, the way that the mind works is very interesting because what you tell your mind to do, your mind will start to believe it. So when you provide that clear picture to your mind, your brain will work in the direction of that goal. It works for that, but it could work for. It also works for anything else. So um, it's it's a reason why you should never say bad things about yourself because your brain is going to start to believe it. So when it comes to visualizing what you want to do, get this clear image and repeat to yourself that you will get the position. So the brain starts to understand that it has to do something, it has to work towards something that you're trying to get, and it will help you to get there. It has to be clear. So how to visualize? You should write down your goals. So if you write on a paper, whatever you try to achieve is the first way for you to visualize. Whatever you write on the paper, the brain, it helps the brain to visualize that what you want and getting that vision as clear as possible. You should read these goals every day. Once again, it's about training your mind to believe what you try to achieve. Um, and you should imagine yourself living that experience like it has already happened. Um, in neuroscience, it is said that the brain doesn't, the body doesn't make the difference with the reality and whatever you can dream of. So when you start to dream of what you want and you start to feel like you have what you want, your whole body, your whole mind will start to act to get these things. Um, I wasn't thinking of that position of brewery all the time. When I was a student after when I started to work. But from time to time, I would think about the brand. I really loved the collections that they had. So each time I would watch the fashion show, I would go to the stores and just feeling like, yeah, it would be so cool to work here, to have, to work for this company, just imagining myself working there. And being confident that, yeah, it's going to happen. So you have to be confident, you have to be hopeful, and you have to tell yourself that you will get there. So it's really about convincing yourself that you will get what you want. And if you go through this ritual, you will probably get your job or whatever that you want at some point. When it comes to preparing yourself, you also need to think of skills and knowledge. This is what companies expect you to have. They're going to hire you because you have skills and knowledge. I like to call that what you should focus on is valuable skills. What I mean by that, valuable skills means skills that are going to bring value to the company that you're going to work for. Um, which means you need to understand what sector you're going to work in. You need to understand what the job is about. Um, you should read the job descriptions of your the job description of that dream job, and all the skills that you can see on the job description. You should work to have it, to develop those skills, and to perfect them as much as possible. This is what is valuable because company, they hire people to bring value to them. They don't hire people because people need money or they need a job. They don't really care about that in reality. They say we need to do something and we need the people who can help us to do these things. So who can bring that value to us? So they're going to look at the people who can bring the better value, and this is how they're going to recruit their staff. So this is the way that you have to look at it when it comes to preparing yourself and getting ready for to apply for a job. Which valuable skills do you have for the company you want to work for? Is it enough? Can you push more, or are you missing on some of the skills that they require? And if it's the case, you really have to work on that, because if you don't do it, someone else may do it, and you may lose that opportunity. And after, there is practical knowledge. Practical knowledge, I like to say, it's knowledge that's going to help you once again to get the position. So practical knowledge means you should know what your industry is about. You should know about the brand that you want to work for. You should know about the competitors. So you should get an idea about what the brand is trying to do. So this is what practical knowledge is what is going to be practical for you if tomorrow you have to start working for this company. So it's a bit different than what you may learn at school, depending once again what type of job that you want to go for. If you're a fashion designer, of course, you're going to learn the skills of fashion design and pattern cutting, etc. at school, and this is something that you're going to need to use for your when you apply for a position. But maybe that company also require a bit of marketing understanding, and maybe you lack that because maybe you didn't have any courses on marketing at school, and maybe this is something that you should cover, something that you should try to compensate. So it's key to look at the job descriptions for those positions that you are interested in, understanding really what people expect you to know, and to bring that to them, and even to bring more to them. If there are some students here that I have at IFA or I had before, this is what I've been saying to them is people, they expect you to have this level of knowledge, and push my students to have this level because I understand generally what people are expecting. I understand that people don't expect them with a certain level. So it's to bring them that extra edge when it comes to applying for positions. And I was saying that in many other schools, people might not have the chance to have these types of training. It put them in a better position to get the job that they want. So in terms of those skills and knowledge, you should study, you should educate yourself or get the training. It's good to study because you're surrounded with people, teachers. They're going to help you to get your knowledge and to get some skills. I would say pretty easily in the way that you don't need to look for what you should know. The teachers, they will bring that to you. So that's why studying is a good way to get skills and knowledge. If maybe you don't get everything from your study, so you're going to need to educate yourself. Nowadays, what is fantastic with the technology and YouTube or even Instagram, some of those platforms, is you can learn almost everything. And I don't think it's almost everything. I think you can learn everything on anything nowadays, and most of the time for free. So if you take the time, to watch some videos, to take notes, to try to learn, you should read books as well. You can educate yourself also to get what you want. So being able to demonstrate skills and knowledge when it comes to applying for the job that you want, and getting a training. You could follow, some specific courses that you want to apply for. Let's say you want to specialize maybe in digital marketing. You could go for a training in digital marketing for like a week, and adding an extra layer of knowledge and skills to your application. If you're a student, stop thinking like a student. You should start to think and act like a professional. What is the difference? Students tend to think like, oh, okay, I have this to do, and we'll work on it, but I have other things to do now. Some Netflix series I haven't finished to watch. When is the next exam or assignment? It's Tuesday next week. Okay, well, by Monday I will work on my studies. I will pass the exam. I will take the exam and I will probably pass. But the next day you would have probably forgotten everything. I used to study like that when I was in high school, and especially in college before, so secondary school, I think, in English. Understanding that, yeah, this is the best way to get good grades, but in reality, you don't learn anything. The real world doesn't care about grades. So if you are a student thinking that your main focus is about getting good grades, you're wrong. You're absolutely wrong. Your main focus is about learning as much as you can. So skills, knowledge, These are the key, because this is what you're going to be tested on when you apply for a job. You're not going to have your recruiter asking you, okay, how much do you get to your marketing test? They ask those questions. They're going to ask you, what do you know about our strategy in terms of products? What do you know about the customers that we target, etc., etc. So your focus when you study, and studying, if you study, this is a great time for you, because you can learn so many things. And you should be very curious to try to learn as much as possible. When I was a student in fashion, I was lucky because the class I was in was a fantastic class. We have an amazing environment all together. So everyone was talking to everyone, and it was a big class for 33. And when there were the fashion shows, we would, all watch the fashion show. So not everyone at the same place all the time, but we would watch the fashion show, and after we would have a conversation. Did you watch the fashion show from Saint Laurent, for Gucci, or Chanel, or etc., etc., all those different brands, and just talking about what we were thinking about the styles of the company, the style of those brands. We really try to read as much as possible about the brands, their history, just trying to understand as much as possible. And we will have conversations, exchanging about that. I read about this, I read about that, and it's very interesting to know that this is how they started, etc. So just learning as much as possible. And once again, this is what you would do as a professional, is to learn, to understand how things work, and to provide that value to the company you will work for. So this is really the way you should look at your studies, and this is the way you should try to that should be the right process for you when it comes to looking at your studies. So preparing yourself, we need to talk about your CV and the process when it comes to recruitment. The purpose of your CV is to get you a job interview. So this is the way you should look at it. Your CV is not going to get you a job. It's unlikely, but it should help you to get a job interview. Your CV should tell your recruiter that you are the most valuable candidate for the job. And so they should invite you for an interview. So when you think about applying for a position, the mistake that you should avoid is to put in your application, here who I am, and I'm looking for this job, and I'm looking for an internship. They don't really care about that, those companies. And of course, they know that you're looking for something because you're applying for the position, but how do you tell them something that is going to help them to start to think that could be someone very interesting for us? Once again, it's about value. So whatever you talk about when it comes to your application, so CV, cover letter, it should be really about the company, not about you. You should tell the company all the value that you will bring to them. So through your knowledge, through your skills, through your experience, so that the brand starts to think, oh, we have someone who's valuable for the job. Like I said to you, this is what companies are looking for. They look for people to help them to achieve something, so people who can bring them value. I've given you here an example of CV, and what I think is very strategic when it comes to a CV. Three main things. You have the job title, the profile, and the key skills. The job title helps you to tell your recruiters what you're applying for. Sometimes I have students who just put their name and they don't put any job title. When you apply through a platform, your CV goes through a list of tens, if not hundreds of CVs. So for your recruiter to look at the CV, sometimes the recruiter could be just filtering the application, sending them to the right people in terms of the different positions. If you don't mention what type of job you're looking for, you may have your CV lost because they have so many that they don't really take time, to sometimes to consider things for that long. So it's key to have the job title showing on your CV. And the other benefit when you put the job title for your CV, is that your CV should reflect that job that you apply for. And everything that you're going to put on your CV should go into, should reflect that position that you're applying for. So you would put the title, and anything that you would put after on your CV, you should look at the title and say, okay, if I apply for this position, does this make sense? Is this relevant? If not, you need to change it and put something that is more relevant for the position. It is advised to have as many CV as you want, based on the number of positions that you want to go for. So if you're interested in buying, if you're interested in events management, you should have CVs with the specific titles for those different positions. Once again, well, after you don't make the mistake to send the two different CV to the same company. But having a specific CV for a specific position helps you to have a CV that is going to be very accurate for, or as accurate as possible for the position that you're applying for. Another thing is the profile. The profile is a presentation of who you are. Your recruiter doesn't know you, and your recruiter goes through tens, if not hundreds of CVs. With the profile, you give a short presentation about who you are. But like I said to you, it's not about you, it's about the company. So the profile is a good way to start to tell your recruiter, look who I am, look what these skills, this knowledge I have. This could be very interesting for you. This could be very valuable for you. So describe your profile with key skills and motivations for your application. But the motivation, once again, it's not about you trying to get a job. The motivation is how you're going to help this company. Last key strategic element is the key skills. The key skills should go with the position that you're applying for. I said to you before, you have to read the job descriptions. Applying for a position, for a job, is strategic. If you want to get the job, you have to be strategic. So it's not just about writing whatever you like and whatever you think of. Oh yeah, but I really like to do this and I really like to do that. But is it something that is required for the job? If it's not, you should not put it on your CV. The key skills, you look at the job description and you should have those skills showing on your CV. If you're not good at one of those skills, you have to work on that so that you can at least put it on your CV, even if the level isn't that great, and keep on working on that skills, because at some point, if you really want to get the job, you will have to be good at that skill. So working with the job description is key for you to prepare your CV. You should have all those skills showing on your CV. Your recruiter ticks box in his mind, or sometimes on paper, it's more in his mind, but he or she's looking for someone who can do this. He or she's going to look at your CV and say, okay, this is missing. Someone else, okay, she's got it, she's fine. Missing, out. It's just simple as that. They don't take time to think too much because they have loads of CVs quite often to review. And they don't know you, so they have no reason to try to spend time thinking, oh yeah, but maybe she's a nice person, and no, it goes very, very fast. It is said that a recruiter spends an average of 3 seconds looking at CVs. So within that really short time slot, what is 3 seconds as an average for some CVs? It could be 10 seconds. You have to ensure that you have what they're looking for showing on your CV, so that it gives you the chance to have that interview. I think I'm missing up. Yeah. Next is the cover letter. So let's go through. The purpose is also to help you to get that job interview. So you have your CV, you have your cover letter. They should help you to get the job interview. How you should write your cover letter. If you want your cover letter to be effective, your cover letter should be short. Okay. Like I said to you, many people don't read cover letters, but for some reason they keep on asking cover letters sometimes. Your cover letter, make it short. 10 to 12 lines is short enough. Your cover letter should not be you writing the story of your CV, because this is a common mistake. Saying, yeah, I worked for this company and I've got this knowledge, and I also work for these other companies. No, if you write about your CV on your cover letter, it's going to be really long. The cover letter should be a kind of teaser. Let's call it like that. It's a teaser for your recruiter to want to know more about you. So you should provide just some key information about your motivation to work for the brand and what you can bring to the brand. Have key skills like this, and it will really work well with your teams, with your company. Um, you must personalize your cover letter. When I say you must personalize your cover letter, at least the first part of your cover letter. So I put you the structure that is required for cover letter. So first, it should be you, the company. Second, it should be me, so you as the applicant. And at the end, it should be us, so all together, how it could work with the company. Um, the first part of the cover letter about the company is something that you have to personalize. Uh, so you need to take the time to really look at what the company does and bring something that is not going to be a kind of platitudes. Platitudes is saying, oh, it would be fantastic to work for such a great luxury company like yours. Yeah, okay, so what? Uh, you need to bring something different. So you look at the products, you look at the strategies that they've implemented or they're trying to implement, and say, oh, I really liked your collection like this, because now I understand that you have a strategy to target customers with these types of products. So you show that you really know about what the brand does. Okay, so at least this part should be personalized. The rest, if you want to work in fashion design or in buying and merchandising, the rest can be pretty much the same. But this first part, you have to take the time to personalize it. The second part, sorry, me, so you as the applicant. What are the key skills and qualities that you're going to emphasize here for the job? So once again, job description is key to understand what should show on your cover letter. At the end, it's how together you and the company you could work well. So what could you bring to the company? You are someone who generally have ideas that people appreciate, because your ideas, they bring results, because your ideas bring something new, something that show you could work well with the company. At the end, I would say that instead of just saying, "Oh, waiting for your answer," always put that you expect to meet your recruiter for an interview. So you need to tell them also what you expect them to do. It would be fantastic to discuss that in more detail with you through an interview. And you should bring something extra. So this is something you should think of. Um, I like to say, if you do things the same way as most people do, you will struggle to stand out. It's a reality. If everyone is doing the same thing, how can you stand out? How can you get a chance to show to your recruiter, hey, I can bring you something different, okay? So something extra is something that is going to probably take you some time to prepare, to work on. But that extra is what is likely to make the difference between you and most of the other applicants, because most of the people, they don't do that. They send their CV, cover letter, and that's it. So in terms of the extra, yes, the portfolio is one example. Okay. And this is something that you need to think of, and not just from fashion design applicants. I'm going to explain myself. So that extra should be something visual. Try to appeal to your recruiter. So think about it, the way your recruiter is working. Your recruiter is going through all those CVs, cover letters, CVs, cover letters, and say, okay, seems to be interesting, seems to be interesting, seems to be interesting. And up you come up with your portfolio. So fashion design students, I would say you don't have the choice. You should have a portfolio all the time sent with your application, because you want to show what you can do. That portfolio can be on 1 to 3 pages. Don't go for more. Once again, it should be just a sample of your work. And you can leave a note saying, projects available in full project available on request, as an example. So you tell your recruiter that if he or she's interested, he can or she can have the whole project emailed to them. So after your CV, having like a PDF with some examples of what you've done is going to be that extra. The extra must be a solid piece of evidence of your skills. So this is the purpose. People believe better what they see than what they hear or read. Okay, if you say, yeah, I'm good at this, I'm good at that, they read it, they say, okay, maybe. But if you show them, they say, okay, I can believe that person. So that's why it's key to have something extra. And especially at your level, if you are junior people listening to this session, you don't have that much experience yet. With experience, you would be able to talk about your achievements. I work for this company, we grow the business by that much, these are the decisions I've made, these are the processes I've implemented, etc., etc. But when you work, when you don't have that much experience, you need to stand out. So standing out means understanding what all the other people are likely to do and what they're likely to not do, so that you can do these extra things. And the portfolio is something that is very basic that you should send to your recruiter with your application. You need to demonstrate what you've done. The best way to demonstrate what you've done is to show projects that you have worked on. So you can tell people, look, this is what I've done. So portfolio. So portfolio should be a creative portfolio for fashion design students or applicants. A marketing portfolio for marketing applicants. Sometimes I have my students in marketing or management, and they're like, yeah, but we are marketing students, we have nothing to show. It's not true. You work on projects, show what you've learned, what type of skills. So you know how to plan, so you can show what you've learned in terms of planning. You know how to analyze brands. You could have some visuals. I'm going to show you some examples after. And show brand analysis, as an example, is something that both type of applicants should have, because it shows once again your level of motivation to work for a company. So if you're a fashion design student, trying to understand what the brand is good at and what it's not, it's a good way to show to your recruiter, look, I'm able to understand what you guys are doing. And I've spotted that, yeah, you're good at this, but I also spotted that you have some weaknesses here. So you are analytical, you are able to analyze. It brings that extra something that once again is going to make the difference probably with other people who don't do it, because how do they demonstrate that they have those skills? So some examples of portfolios. So for fashion design applicants, creative portfolio showing the collection you wrote, the theme, the inspiration. I would suggest that even if you can include some marketing with your application, showing you thought about these types of customers, you thought about this type of opportunity for the brand, so this is the type of collection that you come up with. It gives that extra to the extra. For marketing students, showing or marketing applicants, showing the product that you work on, demonstrate the skills that you've learned. So it can be about preparing a market research. Okay, what are the key elements of the market research? How big the market is, the key competitors you find out. For marketing project, maybe you worked on branding. So how have you developed that branding, or how have you analyzed the branding of such company and what you've done? Show visually what you've done. So once again, you show your skills to your recruiters, and it makes the difference once again when you show them, just when you tell, when it's written. or short brand analysis. It can be something that is very visual. You see, it's not really that complicated. You have a good quality picture, you put your text, your analysis, and it's done. So, but you need to take the time to do it because the analysis has to be something also that is relevant, that is good enough. So ensure that what you show as a portfolio, you show your best projects. Okay, so it's better to show a few things which are top, great quality, than trying to show too many things and some of the things are not really good. So in reality, it play against you when it comes to when your recruiters they start to build the picture about who you are. Like I said to you before, the recruiters they don't know you, so they're going to build an image of you based on all the different elements they get from you. So from your CV, your cover letter, the way you've written your email, and any extra that you send to them. So it's easier to build a negative image than to build a positive one. So as soon as they start to have some elements that don't look that good, analysis that doesn't sound great, so you're missing some points, or you're out of track, you're gonna start to feel like, well, actually that person doesn't know what he or she's doing. So really ensure that the project that you show, the elements that you include in your portfolio, they are your top project. And I repeat what I said, it's better to maybe have 2 or 3 very good examples, top project, than trying to put too many things, and at the end of the day, it goes against you. So when it comes to applying, you should apply relentlessly. What I mean by that is, if you send your application one, it might not be enough. Recruiters, they have to go through tens, if not hundreds, of applications and CVs, etc. So maybe you send your application, and that day the recruiter wasn't in, or he or she wanted to check your CV later on, and he or she forgot. So you probably need to apply a few times, and you should chase people to get an answer. So you really need to push. Sometimes it's not that people don't want to answer you. Sometimes it's just that they're busy. So you send the first application, you wait like a week and a half, and you send a second one saying, yeah, sorry, I'm just resending my application. I already sent it about a week ago, but haven't had any reply, just to ensure that you received it. If still no reply, 1 week after, you apply again. And after, you should try to call to find the right person to get an answer. At least getting an answer, okay? And sometimes you might be surprised just that people, they were busy. I give you an example. Let's say that you want to work in merchandising. Okay, so merchandising, you are going to plan the collections for the brand that you work for. So what do you know about planning? How do you plan the collection? Which type of product is trendy at the moment? The brand that you want to work for, do you understand which competition that brand is going against you? So who are the other companies going against that brand? What are their products? Are you able to answer those questions? It's not complicated in reality. It's just taking the time to look for the information, to observe, and to analyze, and to come up with your own conclusions. And this is what it is. What I call practical knowledge is knowledge that is going to be practical when you start to work. Like I said to you, if tomorrow you would work for that company, they would expect you to be able to do things like that. So is it something that you already do, or you are already able to do? But to be able to do it, you should already do it. Okay, like I said to you, the athletes, they don't wait for the day before the competition to start to train. They train the whole year, so that when the competition comes, they're ready. And they've been probably ready a few weeks before the competition starts. For you, it's the same. You should get ready before applying for those companies, for those jobs. It's something that you should do on a regular basis. I would say ideally on a daily basis. And I understand that maybe students, and you have also your work to do, etc. But taking the time in the morning, just 3 minutes, maybe just read through some website to get some information. You have Business of Fashion that you can read as an example. In France, there is another one which is Fashion Network. You have Fashion United. All those websites, they provide information in terms of what's going on. You go to the brand's website, you see the range of products that they have, and you try to understand, okay, what those products are about, for how much they sell them, who do you think they're targeting, why do they have those ranges of products, different colors, or sometimes not that many products, etc. So understanding really what the brand is doing, this is what I call practical knowledge. So getting the job interview, once you have an answer for your interview, you should take some serious time to prepare for your job interview. And you should try to cover all the aspects of your interview. A good interview is a two-way conversation. Because once again, if you are a professional, you don't just go into a room and wait for people to ask you questions and you answer those questions. You also want to interact. You also want to ask questions. What about this? What about that? I've read that you were trying to do this. I've seen that you were doing this. What is the strategy? Ask those questions. I give you my once again my personal experience as an example. When I had my interview for Burberry, so my boss to be, so Marcus, he was the buyer. He was the European menswear buyer for Burberry. I started to ask him questions about their supply chain. Okay, how does it work with Burberry in terms of products? And understand that you sell in retail, but I could see that they also had products in department store, in concept store, etc. So what was the logistic? How did it work? It's an example of question that I asked, and he started to explain me. Yeah, this is what we do. And when he was literally writing on the paper, drawing how they were organized, etc. And I was like, okay, what about this and what about that? So really questioning what they were doing and just trying to learn and know more about what they were doing. So this is the way you have to think of preparing your interview, not just you answering questions, but you being able to ask questions. And this is what professional people sound like. They are active. Okay, so you have to be active. To help you, I've put some of the most common questions that you will get for a job interview. So I would say these are the basics. You really need to know how to answer those questions. If you had job interviews before, we probably had some of those questions before, but these ones, they're a bit more specific for like fashion and luxury, but you should prepare your answers. Your answers, they have to be relevant for the brand. They have to be relevant for the position. So you should not have some general answers that you provide. This is why you need to take the time to prepare all your answers and reviewing your answers and testing your answer with other people to see. You can play that role. You're the applicant and someone plays the recruiter, and you go through the process of answering those questions. The better you prepare, the better will be your answers. You don't want to give random answers, because once again, you may have just one opportunity to get that job, and if it's your dream job, you don't want to fail at getting it. So during the job interview, just before, I wanted to tell you that you have to be careful. Another advice here in terms of just one of some of the questions. Questions like your biggest flaw. Be careful when it comes to answering those questions. I said to you, when I was talking about the CV, you have to be strategic. It's the same here for your for your answers. It's not about telling the truth in terms of who you are really. Your main purpose is to get a job. So if your purpose is to get a job, you have to provide answers that will help you to get a job. So when you have those questions, think about answers that are not going to jeopardize your application. So really take the time to think how you could say something. As an example, for the biggest flaw. That doesn't sound like something that is going to put you out. Answers could be my advice to you. Answers, you should never go for a very strict answer like, oh, my biggest flaw is this. You could say, I tend sometimes to be like this. Now, once again, you have to be careful with what you're saying. Uh, I would say, forget about the example of, oh, I'm too perfectionist. When I was a student, we were already saying this. So, people have been saying that for ages. Try to find something else. Maybe, you can say, I tend to be a bit impatient sometimes. You want to work in fashion, things have to go quick. So sometimes being impatient can be a good thing in the way that you want things to move on quick. You don't like when things, are really slow, etc. So it's a flow, but at the same time, it says something good about you, that you like things to move to move quick. And at the same time, you're not saying I'm like that, and I'm completely rigid with that flow. You tend to, there's a bit of flexibility. So yeah, it can happen from time to time, but it's because I like things to move on quick, and you can explain things like that. So take the time to think of really those. When I say you need to take the time to think of your answers, it's because if it's not the case, and you go to the interview and you're stressed and you start to say random things, you probably have a good chance to just fail at getting the job, saying some random things. During the job interview, you should try to smile in the beginning of your interview, because generally when you start to smile in the beginning of your interview, it helps to release some of the stress, especially if you are someone who's very stressed in general. Just try to release that stress a little bit, okay? It's a job interview, so understand that it's not the end of the world. It's just a job interview, but you try to bring your best to this. So if you're prepared, it's another way to reduce your level of stress. And trying to smile. When you smile, it helps to take that stress away a little bit. You should be confident. Once again, if you're prepared, you should be confident, and you should tell yourself you're gonna get the job. You're gonna get the job. You're gonna get the job. Because someone needs to get the job, so why not you? It should be you. You have to sound knowledgeable. So sounding knowledgeable means you have some knowledge. I said to you before, maybe have some analysis of the brand. This is what will help you to sound knowledgeable, because you will know what you're talking about. Take notes and ask questions. When you go to a job interview, you should have a notebook, you should have a pen, you should be ready to take notes. It shows a professional attitude when you take notes. So you're not just there and saying, yeah, but you probably will not remember anything after that. Even for yourself, you want to be able to remember what the interview was about, if actually the job is really what you want. Because at some point you may realize that actually, it's not really what you want, or it's not for this company that you would like to work at the end of the day. So you need to take the notes. And from the notes, you may have questions as well, which once again shows a professional attitude. You can ask questions. And at the end, you should tell your recruiter. So I've written this in bold, because you have to tell your recruiter that you are motivated for the job. Tell them, thank you very much. I'm very motivated to get the job. I really hope that my application is going to show you that I have the valuable skills that you're looking for to get this position. Tell them. And after the job interview, on the following day, so I put on the following day, but it depends when you have your job interview. If you have your job interview in the morning, it's fine to email your recruiter in the afternoon and just tell them thank you for their time. We appreciated that, and you tell them again that you are motivated to get the job. You're ready to work really hard to help the company as soon as you start the position. So speak to your recruiter after, and don't think that it's done, and especially saying thank you. Some recruiters do expect at least a thank you.
Well, we just want to say thank you, Silvere, for all of the insight and going really in detail, which I know is a huge help to everyone listening.